I never saw it coming. One second I was under the hood of a 1967 Mustang, hands slick with grease, the cold biting through my jacket. The next, my phone buzzed with my mother's voice slicing through the winter air. Your sister wants her boyfriend to make a perfect first impression. Having you there would complicate things. No warning. No discussion. Just a quiet dismissal and then silence. I didn't argue. I didn't plead. I just hung up and stared at the concrete floor. Grease on my palms, like it had suddenly whispered truths I'd been avoiding. My name is Willow Carter. I'm 29, a mechanic by trade, a fixer by habit. I spend more time under car hoods than under warm lights or holiday tables. People tell me I look softer than my work suggests, long hair usually tied back, eyes that tell more than I intend, a face that somehow stays feminine even when smeared with oil. But none of that has ever mattered to my family. To them, I've always been the one who fixes things. The background, the support, the invisible one. Growing up, appearances were sacred. My mother curated the family like it was an exhibit. Perfect smiles, flawless outfits, flawless stories. And then there was my sister, Ava, the golden child. Every room she entered seemed to hold its breath, waiting to applaud her. And my parents, they played along. My dad would beam about my sister's PR job while barely noticing I could rebuild a carburetor from scratch. I was useful, they'd say. Handy, not talented, not remarkable. Just practical. So I stayed quiet. I learned early that questioning the Carter script only brought consequences. I fixed leaking sinks, dented cars, overdue bills, always silently, always efficiently. I poured myself into tasks until I barely recognized the empty spaces inside me. My garage was my refuge. Boulder, my only home that felt fully mine. The scent of oil, the hum of engines, the feel of metal under my fingers, here nothing judged me. Nothing demanded I shrink. When my mother told me not to come to Thanksgiving, it didn't shock me. It still hurt, deep, insidious hurt, but it wasn't new. Her voice was soft, polished, the same way it always was before she dealt a cruel blow. Your sister wants the perfect first impression, she said. I let it land without response. I cleaned my tools, locked the garage, and went home alone. For the first time, a thought crossed my mind. What would it feel like to build something that didn't include them? I went to sleep with that thought in my chest like a seed. The next morning, I woke to pounding on my door. Still groggy, hair loose around my shoulders, I opened it. And there they were. My family. Red-faced from cold, faces tight with anger. My mother's lips pressed in a hard line. My father shaking like he'd rehearsed this confrontation. Ava's coat immaculate and posture perfectly indignant. Then there was him, Ava's boyfriend. Logan Hayes. Tall, clean-cut, someone my sister had surely practiced smiles for. But he wasn't angry like the others. He looked curious. Mom's words came first, sharp as icicles. Why did you tell people you weren't invited? Our relatives called, we were humiliated. Humiliated. The same word she'd used on me, trying to control Ava's image to justify cutting me out. Dad jumped in, blaming me, twisting facts. Ava crossed her arms, giving me the silent stink eye that had always followed my existence. I said nothing. And that's when Logan stepped forward. Hands in his pockets, calm but piercing. Wait. Willow Carter. The porch froze. My heart skipped. Ava blinked at him like he'd gone insane. What are you doing? She hissed. Logan didn't look at her. He looked at me. You're the one who restored that 72 Charger. The one people couldn't stop talking about online. I froze, not because he recognized me, but because my own family hadn't. They hadn't even seen it, the work I'd poured every ounce of skill and pride into. A crack appeared in their perfect hierarchy. Ava's jaw dropped. My mother blinked. Dad scoffed but faltered. Logan's gaze stayed steady, almost reverent. Your craftsmanship. It's incredible. For the first time, someone in their world saw me not as the background, not as the fixer, not as the embarrassment. And they hated it. A chill ran across my skin. The snow fell slower outside, as if even the air knew something had shifted. My family stood there, unprepared, blindsided by someone seeing my value when they never had. And then my mother's sharp voice cut through the tension. That's nice, but it doesn't change anything. We came to talk about responsibilities. The word hit me like a chain around my ankles. Responsibilities had always been mine alone. An unspoken contract I'd honored without complaint. But something in me clicked. Slowly, surely, finally, I looked at them. Not angry, not desperate, calm, anchored, final. No, I said. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Comment below what you would have done in this situation. And if you're enjoying this story, give it a like, it really helps the channel. The cold bit harder as they stayed on my porch, their words spilling out in a chaotic tangle of anger, blame, and entitlement. My mother's polished fury cut through the air. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Before I could answer, Logan's calm voice stopped the storm. Hold on. Willow Carter. A hush fell. Even the wind seemed to pause. Ava blinked sharply. What are you doing? She demanded, voice trembling, mascara streaking her cheeks. But Logan didn't flinch. He looked at me, not with judgment, not with expectation, but with clarity. You're the Willow Carter who rebuilt that 72 Charger, right? The one everyone on the forums couldn't stop talking about. My chest tightened. Their silence was deafening. For months, for years, they had ignored what I was proud of, the work I poured myself into, the skill that set me apart from their curated perfection. And now, here was someone outside our family, seeing it, acknowledging it, and my family had no script to counter it. Dad scoffed, trying to regain authority. You're joking. Mom frowned, thrown off balance. Ava flushed crimson, as if reality itself had betrayed her. Logan's words sliced through the tension like a blade. Your craftsmanship. It's incredible. And with that, the carefully constructed hierarchy of my family began to wobble. Ava's golden glow dimmed. Mom's perfect control faltered. Dad's certainty cracked. For the first time, I felt their dominance slipping, not because I fought, but because someone finally looked at me, really looked, and saw my worth. Then the manipulation started. Mom's voice, once soft and polished, now sharp and demanding. Family helps family, Willow. You don't get to deny responsibilities. The roof is leaking. Bills need paying. Decorations, gifts, you know how important this is. I froze for just a heartbeat. Their audacity hit like cold metal against bare skin. After cutting me out, after treating me like I was invisible, now they were demanding, expecting me to serve them? My mind raced, cataloging every slight, every invisible effort I'd made while they polished their perfect image. Ava's arms crossed, leaning into the drama like she had rehearsed it 100 times. Can we focus? I really need this done. You'll make us look stupid if you don't. Stupid. That word again. Always tied to my existence. Always a reminder that my worth was conditional. Invisible until convenient. I took a slow breath, feeling a strange, quiet power building in me, like a tension spring ready to release. Not anger, not yet. Just clarity. Boundaries. Lines that had been invisible for decades were suddenly etched in stone. No, I said. Calm. Steady. Anchored. Final. They blinked. Mom's lips parted. Dad's fists clenched. Ava's eyes widened like I just shattered their universe with a single word. No, I'm not fixing the roof. No, I'm not covering bills. Not anymore. Shock rippled through them, thick and heavy, as if the world itself had paused. My family had never imagined refusal. Their entitlement had never met resistance. And yet, Logan didn't flinch. His eyes held mine, steady, supportive. Good for you, he murmured. Quiet, but loud enough for them to hear. Ava's voice rose, desperate. Why are you taking her side? Logan's gaze didn't waver. Because she isn't wrong. Everything shifted then. Mom's calculated control crumbled. Dad's authority faltered. Ava's perfect performance shattered. The power they thought they wielded over me dissolved in the icy porch air. They stormed, they argued, they pleaded, but I had already drawn the line. For decades I had been the fixer. The invisible hand behind their curated lives. No more. Not now. Not ever. And in that silence, that charged, frozen moment, I realized, their image, their expectations, their rules, they weren't mine to honor anymore. For the first time, the narrative didn't belong to them. It belonged to me. The turning point came not in a yell, not in a fight, but in recognition. Logan, outsider, witness, ally, he saw my work, my life, my value. And in seeing me, he dismantled the foundation my family had built on comparison and entitlement. For the first time, I felt a quiet, exhilarating shift. The scales were tipping. And that's when I knew. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their gratitude. I didn't even need them. I had built something they could never touch, something real, something mine. Comment below, would you have said no in Willow's place? If you're loving this story, hit that like button, it really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe for more revenge stories that hit hard. The wind howled outside, rattling the garage doors, but inside, the heat hummed steady and comforting. I watched my family on the porch, their faces red, their fury palpable. They had come to control, to demand, to manipulate, and they had walked straight into the storm they'd never prepared for. I stood firm, letting the silence stretch. Every second amplified their confusion, their disbelief. Dad's fists unclenched slowly, Mom's perfect mask faltered, and Ava's golden image crumbled before her own eyes. I had never felt this power, not in mechanics, not in grudging gratitude, but in claiming myself. I pulled open the drawer in my workbench. A simple brown envelope, carefully prepared weeks ago, long before I even imagined I'd say no. Inside were the records, every emergency repair I'd covered, every unpaid bill I had quietly handled, every favor I had extended while they polished their curated lives. I held it out. Their arrogance faltered as Dad snatched it, expecting triumph. But when he unfolded the papers, his expression shifted. Insurance claims, plumbing repairs, car fixes, emergency fees. Every line a reminder that I had been the backbone of their lives while they dismissed me as invisible. Mom's face drained of color. Ava's lips trembled. Dad's voice shook as he muttered, "You kept track?" "Yes," I said calmly. "I kept boundaries. You just never noticed until now." The silence was thick, almost tangible. Logan stepped closer, eyes steady, a quiet ally in the chaos. "She did more than any of you ever acknowledged," he said. Ava screamed, her voice tearing the cold air. "You ruined everything." Mom lunged forward, desperate, but it was too late. The truth had been laid bare. The power dynamic had flipped entirely. For the first time, my family wasn't in control, they were exposed. "Leave," I said, my voice firm but calm. And they did. Snow swirled around their retreating silhouettes, slammed doors punctuating their defeat. Logan turned to me, hand briefly on my shoulder, not lingering, just honest. "You're okay," he said. "You built something good here. Don't let anyone take it from you." Inside the garage, warmth and laughter waited. The teens from the shelter teased each other. Cookies burned in the oven, cider steaming in mugs. Mr. Bennett told a story about getting lost in a snowstorm. The space was chaotic, imperfect, but alive, and for the first time in my life I belonged here. The storm outside raged on, but inside a quiet revolution had occurred. I no longer carried the weight of their expectations. I no longer needed their approval. I had boundaries. I had recognition. I had respect. I had built my own family, my own space, my own world, and it was everything they never allowed me to be. Christmas passed. January settled in. Life moved forward. Silence from my parents wasn't punishment, it was space. Space to breathe, to grow, to realize I didn't need